Welcome to the Beginner Photography Podcast. This week we are chatting with wedding business experts Nick and Kate Story about the real reason why you are not getting bookings. So let's get into it.
Welcome to the Beginner Photography Podcast, a weekly podcast for those who believe that moments matter most and that a beautiful photo is more than just a sum of its settings. A show for those who want to do more with the gear they have to take better photos today. And now, your host, Raymond Hatfield.
Hey, welcome back, photo friends. Look at this. Oh my gosh, what a week. What a time of the year. You know, this is fall, and here in the Northern Hemisphere, this is the time of the year when photographers are typically pretty busy, you know, both portraits, both weddings, and it's with, you know, just the changing leaves. It's beautiful outside. The temperatures are getting cooler. You're not as sweaty. It's not as gross. You're just enjoying nature, and it looks beautiful outside. So, of course, you know, we are more busy than normal. Now, the last few weekends, I have had weddings, and I actually decided to try something a little bit different. I wanted to try something new this time around. So rather than after a wedding, what I would normally do is post like sneak peeks on Facebook. And I thought, how can I make this more personal to the couple? Like, what can I do? And you know that I use and I love CloudSpot to deliver client images, and even things like, you know, family gatherings to family members because, well, not only does it look beautiful, but it is easier to use than just about all of the other gallery systems that I've used before, but also because CloudSpot is made by photographers, meaning that they've made tools and features specifically designed to earn us more money. So one of the tools that they have is the ability to deliver, it's like a personalized app to our clients so that they can load it onto their phone, and then they have all of their photos from, you know, their wedding in just one click right on their home screen. It is great. So I've used the app feature before, but it was always like a bonus, like, oh, here's your gallery and here's an app. But this time I decided to really make the app a thing here by delivering their sneak peeks through the app. Well, so what I did was I picked out about 80 photos or so. I did a quick edit on them. I put them into CloudSpot, and then I just clicked one button, which creates the app, which is wonderful. And then I just sent the link to my couple to download their app onto their phone. And I kid you not, within like 15 or 20 minutes, I started getting emails of print orders coming in, and then more print orders. So quickly, I was like, what's going on here? So I checked CloudSpot, and they were all from the app. So not only can you send photos, but you can also sell photos through the app as well. And it was from the app that I had just sent the couple the sneak peek of their wedding photos. So what happened was that they ended up getting the link to the app. They sent the link to their families and some of their friends. And now this is just an assumption, but because I'm assuming that the photos weren't posted on Facebook, that they had a higher perceived value, that the only way that you could get them was on your own device, right? So that makes, with a higher perceived value, it was a no-brainer for family members and even the couple to buy photos. And with White House custom colors, super fast turnaround time, they are actually going to have printed photos in their hands before the wedding is even edited. Now, what's cool is that this happened all 3 times. Now, if I could increase my print sales by like 50%, well, who wouldn't want to make 50% more money with 0% more work? Because CloudSpot does all the work for me, and it can do it for you too. So you can actually sign up for CloudSpot for free over at deliverphotos.com. Yes. Can you believe that URL wasn't taken yet? Blows my mind. Again, deliverphotos.com. You can sign up for a free forever plan, which of course there are some limitations, but if you're just getting started, is a great way to do so. So I encourage you to give it a shot for yourself and see what happens at your next wedding or your next portrait shoot. So speaking of weddings, speaking of portraits, this week I chat with Kate and Nick Story, who run a website called Book More Brides, which helps wedding business owners book more brides. Now, I know that, you might not be a wedding photographer, but even if you're not a wedding business owner, I think that you are still going to get a lot of good information out of this episode, specifically about, the marketing mind and how to sell photography. And you're still going to get, again, a ton out of this one. So I'd encourage you to stick around. And if you are hungry for even more business knowledge after the interview, Kate actually stays on to wrap up a few things. But just being the person that she is, she shared a ton more business help, specifically about how she's created a simple email sequence that books brides, even when they're not ready yet. It just keeps you front of mind. So if you want to hear her tip, just stick around till after the interview. All right, so with that, let's get into this week's interview with Kate and Nick Story. Usually when I'm chatting with photographers, I ask, like, when did you know that photography was going to play a major role in your life? Which it normally does. But with you two, it's a little bit different. So why don't you start off just by telling me who you are, what it is that you do, and how what it is that you do can help photographers.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just like many of us in the wedding industry or in the, in photography, it's like we didn't start here necessarily, right? We don't always start in the wedding industry. So my background is actually in marketing and digital marketing, public relations, pretty much anything writing and talking. Let's boil it down to that. I was that kid that always walked around with a notebook, writing stories, and always wanting to tell people stories. So I married into the right family, first of all, with the last name of Story.
Yeah.
It fits her quite well.
Yeah. And so, and then with Nick, you want to tell a little bit about yours?
Yeah, I was actually really committed to being a special ed teacher for over 15 years or whatever. And I really love working with students of all levels from, special needs on up. I just love being able to take a big problem and break it down to small pieces. And I like coaching and being with people. Yeah. So this world kind of came onto us. We've always been pointed towards it, but this is where it's kind of come to a head and everything.
And really how we got started in the wedding industry is we actually, so we do have a different business that we started with and we still run. It's a wedding video alternative that we offer. And so that's how we came to be in the wedding industry, but we've always loved the marketing and the business side. And Book More Brides is a brand that's been around for over 10 years now. We were originally students of the original founders. So if you've been in photography for a while, you may have known the original founders, Stephanie and Jeff. And we came on board with them and started working with them.
Doing digital marketing. Yeah. Little did we know that they wanted to, it was their wonderful business. They wanted to pass it on to another husband and wife couple like that. And this is people wanted to know how we were doing what we were doing. So it was a perfect fit for it.
Yeah. So we took over the business late 2019, perfect timing with
perfect timing.
all that we knew would happen in 2020. But we found actually that the timing worked quite well, especially for our students and the people that we work with at Book More Brides, because if you weren't online before, you need to be now. You have to be now.
Cancel that. I apologize. This looks like amateur hour right there.
No, that's fine. Don't worry about it. It happens. I'll just
did I
pick
step
up where
over
I
your
left
words
off
there?
if that helps.
Okay. Yeah.
No, not at all. Yeah. So
I'll let you go ahead.
How do we help? Yeah.
Yeah. No. So we actually found that was a great time to help our students at Book More Brides because, if you weren't online before, you have to be now. So this has been a wonderful time to really focus in on the online side of growing your business, whether it's, with your listeners, it's photography, and making sure that you have all of the marketing correct, the business operations, the sales, the messaging, all of that. So that's what we do.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for explaining that. It's one of these things I love to talk about because I think one of the reasons why I started this podcast was that I love to hear points of view from many different people. I feel like I'm pretty good at taking everybody's point of view, figuring out what is going to work best for me, and then applying that to what it is that I do. However, over time, I've realized that the listeners, there's a very wide range of listeners and what they struggle with and how they learn best. So let's say that for the course of this interview right here, we're going to be thinking about listeners of the Beginner Photography podcast. And let's just assume that we are referring to somebody who is a weekend warrior and they are somebody who wants to get started in photography. So they started off by talking to family. They started off talking to friends and getting those clients. But now that pool is kind of dried up, right? So now they need to start looking elsewhere. What are the roadblocks that they are facing right now to enable them to take their photography full time?
It's funny because this is what we see day in and day out. We probably talked to two people yesterday about this, but you may be great at what you do, and you may, have beautiful pictures, but if no one else knows about it, then your friends and family, you can't share your gift with the world, because if you do a good job, these couples deserve to be shot by you and be able to have their memories captured on their wall like we do out there. But if they don't know about it, it doesn't really count. So we help a lot of people clarify, like, it's like trying to do what you do with pictures and putting it into words is just a difficult thing for most people. So helping them be found and helping them, when they're found, like, be clear on it is where most people struggle with, because there's 1,000 little things from chat widgets and all that stuff that really only support putting you forward online so that you can get in a real relationship with your couples, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of those struggles, struggles you're thinking?
Yeah. So a lot of times, and a metaphor that Nick uses a lot is being called the billboard in the woods. Basically, you have this wonderful photography, this beautiful work that you do, but your billboard, essentially to let people know about you, is hidden in the woods. So what we do is we help get that billboard out of the woods by the freeway. So there's a couple of different ways that we do that. And I would suggest, if you're just starting out, that you really start thinking about, first of all, knowing the difference between fast and slow means of bringing in traffic. So let me break that down a little bit. So slow means of traffic are what you might hear a lot of people telling you that, oh, you need to be blogging, you need to build up your SEO, all those kinds of things. Yes, absolutely, you need to be doing that. But that's a slow process of bringing in leads. It's going to take time to bring in people with those methods. So it's something that you do have to do, so that way it has time to catch up and kind of work, behind the scenes while you're doing some of the other fast methods, which means where you're going outwards and you're letting people know more directly about you. So that could be paid ads. That could be going on social channels and strategically using hashtags and specific content that's going to speak to your ideal audience and helping them to understand why you're different, what you offer, how you're going to make their ultimate goal come to reality by hiring you. So that's understanding the difference of the different methods that you might take with marketing. Those slow versus the fast is, I think, a really good place to start, so you can figure out, okay, I need to start with this, start writing some blogs, make sure my website is up to speed, I've got some good SEO key terms, but not just doing that and calling it a day, because it's going to take forever to build up your business. But on the other hand, if you are only focused on the fast methods, if you're just throwing money at paid ads, if you are only doing social media posts and never creating an email follow-up series or anything like that, you're not going to, it's basically you're constantly looking for that next lead, you're hunting for it. And so you need the two working together in order to have a business that continues to sustain and grow.
That was like a business 201 class right there. That was a lot of advanced topics, and I'm sure that I'm sure that some of the listeners right now are thinking, "Oh my gosh, email follow-ups. We got to have the website. There's a lot going on."
Throw a lot out there as like a foundation, but we can dig into it even more. So yeah, this is. Go ahead.
So like SEO in a slow way is that billboard you're putting by the woods. You want to let them see them, let them come into you, say, you know what, I want to call them. Where the fast way is just going where the people are at. And that's what marketing is, just going where they're at. Back in the day, it was sending postcards to people's houses in the yellow book. Well, we don't do that anymore, right? Now it happens to be Instagram, and in the future, it'll be something else. But it's just going to where those lovely couples are at and the ones that you really want to work with, because that makes the difference. So do you think, haven't you found that there's certain couples that you identify with that like really love what you do? How do you find them?
Right. So I have a question for you, and that is, well, first, I guess I just want to break it down and make it clear. Yes. The roadblock that new photographers are facing is just simply that they're not getting in front of people. Is that right?
Yeah. And so if you want, I can take this even further down. So first, I maybe what I'm doing here is what we often teach about with our students called the curse of knowledge. Basically, you know too much about your craft. You know too much about what you do. And you need to keep bringing it down to more understandable terms, because you're great at what you do. but your clients don't understand how you're different than the hundreds of other photographers that they see online or may have had recommended to them, or that they may know through friends of friends. So we have to make sure that we are putting a clear identity for ourselves in front of our clients, and making sure that we're getting to the heart of what it is that they truly want. And I can give you an example with this. We have two photography students in particular that I often give the example of in our programs. And one of them is a couple, and their style is very artistic and moody, and really it's gallery worthy. That's the style that they like to shoot in. That is what their clients want. That's why they come to them. However, we also have a student who is, she likes to do more of the light and airy, the very bright, natural light, some light posing and things like that. Those are two very different styles. So it doesn't mean that you can't shoot in both styles, but you need to, especially if you're just starting out, start by choosing a style that you want to focus on, that you want to do more of and attract more clients on to get that level of photography. And that's the type of work that you need to showcase in your social posts, on your website. That's where you need to make it, because we have to make it clear to them what kind of style they're going to get. Because if you have on your website that kind of dark and moody style that, the one couple has, and then you have a couple of the light and airy, that the other photographer has, it's confusing to your clients. They're like, well, which one am I going to get? I don't really like this particular style. I want this one. And so we have to, first of all, make it clear visually what it is that we are offering for our clients, and making sure that they know what it is that we do and what we stand for, so they can make a more educated decision. So that's like kind of the base level.
That was perfect. I think that a lot of people here are, I hope that they picked up on the fact that you said, you know what, you need to have a style truly before you should be getting into the business and really trying to sell it. Because if you don't, how do you know what it is that you're trying to sell? So that is a huge thing that unfortunately a lot of new photographers kind of put the cart before the horse and get into the business and then try to find the style afterwards, which is very unfortunate. But I do want to go back to something that you said there, which is ultimately we're just trying to sell to a couple, or in this case, a couple for their wedding. What was it that you said? At the core, you want to get at the heart of what it is that they want, right?
I was hoping
we're not selling our service. We're trying to give them what it is that they want and show them how we can fit into that. Can you break that down just a little bit more?
Yes, and that's where I wanted to go.
I had a person last night talk about this.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, and then I'll give some additional.
So we're talking about it later. We usually do it earlier, but they're in Australia. So basically, when you say sell, all of a sudden, probably half your listeners are cringing, like, "Ooh,
it's a four-letter word." Yeah.
Okay. And when I talk to people, they eventually say, you know what, it's a mindset I have. I really don't want to be a salesperson. I want them to just look at it and say, yes, here's my money. Here you go. Right. And we have to spend a little time helping people understand that you can still be you. You can still be artistic. You can still be everything. You don't have to be slimy salespeople. You just need to find people who want what you have, and know in your heart that you are going to do a great job for them. They deserve to have your photos, and you deserve to have their business. So it's really an exchange between a couple and you, that you guys are on that clarified message, because simple creates the
simpler you
sales,
can be. Yes, exactly.
And you just want to be like, yes, I'm going to fulfill what you need, and they're happy. They pay you, you get them wonderful pictures, and you give more value. Both of you give more value than that. That takes the mystification off the sales. Because as soon as it said sales, I was like, everybody's probably cringing.
Yes.
Sorry, long story.
No.
Go for it.
So then the question, I think the next logical question is, okay, so then how do you get to the heart of that? How do you attract those couples, right? So going back to those two examples that I gave, the dark and moody style versus the light and airy style. The dark and moody photographers, their couples, ultimately, the reaction that they wanted from their wedding photos was that once they had them printed and framed in their home, that their friends and family would come over and say, is that you guys? Oh my gosh, that is stunning. That's like a work of art. That should be like in a gallery somewhere. that is the reaction that their couples want. So that's what they display on their website. That's what they put on their social channels. That's the type, and they speak to that type of language that attracts that certain that style, people who like that certain style. Whereas the other photographer with that light and airy style, what her couples truly want is that when they have their pictures printed out, put in their homes, or anyone sees their pictures afterwards, that people will say, oh my gosh, these are like the best pictures I've ever seen of you. Look at how beautifully you're, like, you just look so gorgeous. It just brought out this natural beauty, and wanting to, basically, they want a record of how they looked. It's like the best you're ever going to look in your life, right? Is on your wedding day. Yes. And they want that. They wanted to have this beautiful representation of how their day looked, so that they can think about the memories that came with that. They can see, like, oh, I remember how I felt. Look at the emotion that my photographer captured, which is so clearly displayed on my face and on my, my new spouse's face. That's how you figure out the heart. What is it that our couples want beyond just beautiful photographs or a record of the day? Like I said, it's either it's that reaction that they're looking for at the end of the day from your photographs. That's what we have to understand.
Okay, so I think that a lot of listeners right now can kind of picture in their minds what they want their couples or their families or whatever it is to say about their work. But if we're just getting started, how do we get those answers? How do we know for sure that what a couple would say about working with us, or how our photos make them feel?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that this would be a good time to interview some people that would be your ideal couples, whether you're working with them now or not, because likely you went into photography because you probably photographed someone that you really cared about, and you're like, wow, I really like these people. I really like doing this. Maybe I should do this as a job. Maybe I should, and so think about, who are those couples that you love to work with? Who are those clients that make you excited to want to go photograph? And you're like, if I could just have 30 more of those clients, if I could just have 30 more of those, boy, I would be so set. I could just make this my full-time career. I could, if you're the weekend warrior, I can start putting money away and start slowly replacing my income so I can make this my full-time job, if that's your goal. But making sure that you are talking with these couples. So find that couple or those couples that you really connected with, that you feel really embody the type of people that you want to work with, and ask them questions like, how do you want to feel? How do you want, when you look at your photos that I'm going to take of you, or that I were to take of you, how do you want to feel when you look at those pictures? What's the reaction you want people to say? What is it that you are hoping that I will capture when I photograph you? Like those sorts of things. Not only will that help you to identify your perfect client, but secondly, it's going to give you the language, the exact words that your clients are going to say. And then if you can turn around and use those exact words, that phrasing in your marketing and in your business efforts, that's how you're going to start bringing people in, because they're going to think, oh my gosh, it's like they're in my head. How did they know? That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah, that's perfect. So, but that perfectly leads us into kind of the next realm here, which is marketing. And I think that marketing is probably more of a 4-letter word than selling to most photographers, just because it's so unknown, and it's aggravating inside if this is not what we're used to. I like to say that, especially in my example personally, is that like I got into photography because I loved photography. I didn't, there's that phrase, like I grew up with a camera in my hand. It's like, I didn't grow up with a marketing book in my hand. So these are the things that we all have to figure out. Yeah, you might have. But these are the things that as photographers, it's like, we have to figure out now. And it's confusing. It's this whole world. So with marketing today, with digital marketing, there are a million different avenues to market ourselves. So I got 2 questions for you. One, I guess we'll just start there. What are the most popular avenues for marketing? What are the most popular marketing avenues that are working today?
Yeah. Well,
It's a big topic, yeah.
Yeah, do you want me to say? Okay, so it's going back to that. Yeah, you know what? Go ahead, start with the framework.
When you start thinking that marketing, oh, this is bad, okay? Like with photography, you're capturing, okay? Marketing is just messaging. It's just you're capturing it and you're just kind of relaying it back to people. Your marketing's a gallery. It's something that like you put your best foot forward so other people can say, yep, that's it. That's for me. But how do you do that's the question. Where do you do that? Trust me, there's 1,000 avenues out there. And it's kind of like workouts. A lot of them will work. If you just do it the whole way, you lift the weights, you'll get stronger. But there are some that are quicker than others. So
and
that's
some
usually
that
what
work better for you than others. So, so going back to, we touched on a little earlier about ads, about paid ads. Okay. Some photographers will have some great success with this. Others won't. They'll spend hundreds, thousands of dollars trying to run ads and not get the desired results. And this is why, first of all, it's really helpful to speak with someone who understands digital marketing, so that way they can give you some feedback, because the question then becomes, if it doesn't get you the desired result, you have to examine why. Why didn't it work? And we find that a lot of times it has to do either, sometimes it's the ad itself, just the way that it's phrased, perhaps the direction in which it is sent. What is the next logical step that you're trying to get people to take after that ad? Maybe that wasn't clear or phrased correctly. But it could also be that once they get through the ad and they land on your website, it could be that they didn't really like what they saw, and that could be because of the design of your website. It could be because you have confusing images, like we talked about earlier, the two different styles. Your messaging could be more on the artistic side rather than clear, trying to be clever or esoteric rather than trying to make it clear what it is that you offer them and how it's going to benefit them. So that's the first area, is just examining why those methods wouldn't work. But one of the easiest ways to get out there right now is social media. That it still remains a very easy way. It's free unless you decide to run some ads, but it's a great way to get started. But you have to, again, be strategic about it. Just throwing up pictures onto your Instagram account and choosing some random hashtags and having a caption that says like, fall vibes, or something like that, it's not going to get you clients. So there's some ways that you have to be very, very, again, very clear about what it is that you are offering them and what their experience is going to be like when they hire you. Are they going to get what it is that they ultimately want? So knowing that and being able to clearly demonstrate that is going to help make sure that you're picking the right pictures that you're putting on there, that you've got that right style demonstrated, that you are showing in those pictures the experience that they're looking to get. So again, if your style is where you're more let's say that fly on the wall, you're just kind of observing, you're allowing the day to unfold, and you're just capturing those hidden moments and everything, that's the type of photographs that you want to show. And then talk about the story behind it. If you can tell a story about your photographs, which I would imagine you probably have a million stories about how you captured that photograph. What sparked your interest? What made you think, oh my gosh, I have to get that. They're going to love this. Knowing how to tell that story and to be able to share that is going to help people to connect more easily with you. So that's a great place to start, is by storytelling on social media for free. Don't pay for ads just yet. Maybe start with this, start building up a following, and be strategic about it. And I can go deeper into it, but I'm trying to keep it low. I'm trying to keep it understandable.
I definitely think, that was understandable. I'm just trying to think about where I want to go next, because you said some things in there that I do want to dive deeper into. But I think with us ending right here on social media, it kind of leads into a question that is, honestly, I feel like every day that goes by, I enjoy social media less and less and less. And it's to the point to where it's like, honestly, right now, I don't know if I truly want to be on it at all. And I hear that a lot from listeners as well. So how can we, as business owners, in a social media forward world, how can we deal with that? How can we show up enough to be in front of our clients without Okay, I guess I see. Well, I guess without, you see, or not necessarily photographers, but you see people online and they're doing Facebook Lives and they're doing, the reels and they're doing the stories. They're masters of Instagram with the hashtags and the stories and all of this. And it's like, that's great for them. But I guess, how do we know what is right for us, and how do we know how much social media is enough to be able to get the results that we're looking for? Yeah. That's a very big question there. Does that make sense?
I understand.
It's true. Like, is it working or not is one of the first questions you have to ask yourself, because busy doesn't mean necessarily that it's working.
Successful.
Now, that could be you're not working it right, which is a whole included, but we do need to get in front of those couples. And if they're not here, then they must be there. But people have that question and they want to find you somehow. So that's kind of part of the questions, like, well, where do I need to go next? And what's right for you? Because if you don't like I don't want to do reels and stuff like that. She does them. She's great at it. It's her thing. You know what? She's very successful with it. But like, if it's not you, you got to do you, but you also might have to try a little wrong. Because, workout.
This is exactly it. It's like, So that's the thing. If you know that you need cardio. I like the workout example. I'm going to go with that. Cool. If you know that you need cardio, but you hate running, well, then find another method. But we have to make sure that it's accomplishing the goal. So let me go back to our specific industry here. So we have to think again, where are our clients? Okay. If we are doing weddings, then likely your couples, thinking strategically, are probably within a certain age range, probably between 25 to 40, maybe, give and take a little on each side, right? That's kind of a general age range and everything. Well, where are those people most frequently? And this can also vary depending on where you are. If you're in a part of the country where, it seems like everybody that of that age is on Facebook, go to Facebook. But in general, I will tell you, the statistics do show that 25 to 40 age range are most often on Instagram. That's a great place to start. Doesn't mean that you have to, you also have to get on TikTok. You have to get on, all these other different things. You have to be on YouTube, all these things that can really stress you out. Just start with one. Start with one and test it out for a little bit. See how it goes. But the biggest thing that you can do is just to be consistent. Make sure that you have a post. I always recommend for pretty much every single channel is once a week. Like bare minimum. Now that's just going to basically show that the lights are on, that you have a business, it's still operating. Once a week is going to show that the lights are on. If you want to get into growth mode, you're going to need to do it more frequently, like 3 to 5 times a week. Okay. And as much as we don't like, especially if you're someone who just, like you said, you're enjoying social media less and less. I get it. I get in those times like that too, because it can seem very overwhelming. Sometimes it's hard to not encounter a lot of negativity on those channels. But if you kind of keep your eyes focused on your ultimate goal, which is to get in front of these couples that you want to work with and showing them, hey, you've got a problem. Well, I've got a solution for you. Let's come have a conversation and let me help you out with that. That's ultimately what we're trying to do with our social media presence. So if we can just focus on that we are on there for the sole purpose of providing our clients with those beautiful photographs and that hidden desire that we talked about earlier, we can just stay focused on that. That's going to help you stay consistent, and it's going to help you want to be on there a little bit more because you know that you're going to be doing what you love more often.
I feel like every answer that I get from you, I have 9 more questions that pop up, but still trying to, this is fantastic. I can tell how knowledgeable you are. I just need to try to keep this in order here. You had said one of the most important things was, figure out where your clients could be. And in this case, let's just take the Instagram example. And then you said, get on there, test it out. Mm-hmm. What does testing it out look like? Because I know plenty of people will put up the one post, put up a second post, put up a third post and say, I didn't book 15 weddings. Like this is not working, Is there an easier way that we should test it out?
It's the same thing with everything. If you write one blog post, you're not going to get a flood of weddings. If you do one Facebook ad, which you probably don't know how to do, right? It's probably not going to come, but it does work. Like ads work. blogging works, and you have to test things. So does social media. You got to test things to make it sure it works. Because what I was going to say is you just need enough sales to get you through now till later. So when we're working with people in phase 3 of our business roadmap who are like multi-ops or are doing things, they've moved into, now they've got SEO going. All kinds of people are coming each month to look at their websites. They've got all kinds of blogs about things. And they're less worried about having to run out there for the sale and catch them on Instagram. They do it, and they have help doing it, but like they've got to the other side. It just takes a little while.
And they had to start somewhere.
They had to start somewhere.
They had to start somewhere. So for the testing question, I know your listeners probably are not going to love to hear this, and I'm very, very sorry, but this is how we have to test it. You have to give it, I would say, minimum 3 months, because we have to have a consistent enough presence over enough time. And we have to say, so this is why it's important to understand your ideal client, what it is, what is that hidden desire, that heart, and just keep sharing that message in different ways through your photographs, by being strategic, making sure, and like I said, I'm trying to not get too deep into it, but making sure you're being strategic about your hashtag usage, making sure that your bio on Instagram is set up in a way that's going to make it easier for people to find you. There are just a couple of different ways that it's like, you just need to maybe do a little bit of education on that and to learn about how you can do this correctly, but then you have to stick with it for a little bit of time. And that 3-month window sounds challenging, but it can be done, especially if you plan it out. Take like an afternoon, a day where you don't have, or an evening, maybe if you're a weekend warrior, sit down on like a Wednesday night where, you're not necessarily talking with clients or anything like that, and just sit down and write out and plan out those posts that you're going to do. And the way that you can plan them out is by, again, think about what is it that your clients are really looking to accomplish? What are the questions that they have when they're looking to hire a photographer? What are the concerns that they might have about choosing the right one? How do they know if they're going to get the right one? These are some of the things when you start thinking about what your answers would be to that, so that way it's speaking to that hidden desire and you're focusing on what it is that they're trying to get out of it. It's going to make it a little easier to come up with that content and make sure that you know that you are sharing content that's going to connect with them. And just start writing it down, and then you can organize it later, but at least you have something, so that way you can continue to go back to the well, post it on there, and make sure that you are giving it an opportunity for the algorithm to start working, start bringing in the right people. And like I said, that could be a whole episode on its own. It's how to use Instagram to bring people in, but I'm trying to stick to the basics of it.
It's going to be like a 10-part episode, and it's going to have to change next month because everything on Instagram changes as well. I love what you had said there about kind of, posting about what are the questions that they have, what are the things that they're worried about, because ultimately, and I think we were talking about this before I hit the record button, but it's like, as where we are and where our position is, we know what the issues that they are having, but they might be unaware of what those exact problems could be. So you're suggesting that we get ahead of that and share with them what the problems that they could be facing, and then share our solution to that as well?
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And you get this one.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, one of the ways that I've heard it phrased is that basically there are 3 problems that your clients, and this spans across many different industries. This is kind of a marketing principle, a business principle, is that your clients are facing 3 major problems in their life. It's one is an external problem, one is an internal problem, and often there is a philosophical problem to it. Okay. And this is from Donald Miller. Donald Miller shares this, exactly. He says it well. He says it well. And it's like, it's so clear when you think about, okay, so let's look at it from a photography standpoint. Their external problem is they need a wedding photographer. Like, I need somebody to photograph my wedding. That's the external problem. The internal problem that they're facing is, how do I know that I'm going to that I'm going to get the right one for me, that I'm going to get that I'm going to get the photographer that's going to capture what it is that I truly want, which is, again, are we looking for the gallery style where it looks artistic and posed and just, it looks incredible from an artistic standpoint? Or am I going to get those natural shots, those candid moments that's what I really wanted? We have to know that, okay, and being able to answer that based on our specific client's needs. So that's the internal problem. Then the philosophical problem for them is, it shouldn't be so hard for me to have to figure this out. I just want this for my wedding. Right. Like they feel like they're trapped in this difficult cycle of like seeing thousands of photographers of all different styles, and how do I know which is the right one for me? That is their philosophical problem, is it shouldn't be this hard for me to find somebody who gets me and can get pictures of my wedding.
Listen to what she's saying, seriously. Okay, because on the sales end, which I like to help, imagine your customer, you 3 months from now, 90 days from now, well, just 3 months, but down the road or whatever.
We're good at math.
That's right. But they've got that from you. You put that out there, they're feeling like, good, that's it. That's right. Okay, that's right. Your website's good. And they get to you and you've already answered like all those internal feelings, the external feelings.
75% of
your
their
job
questions.
is just to not mess it up. They just want to know there's a real person there who cares and gets me. Not, looks a website, your picture looks good, but what if, when they meet you, they want to say, oh, they connect with you, right? That this person gets me and they're going to deliver what they do. And it's pretty much saying, you want to buy some, everybody else is.
Yeah, exactly.
But like they get to you, it sounds silly, but sometimes your job is just to be quiet and say, I would love to help you in your wedding. I'm available that day. You want that? I can do that. Let's sign you up because June gets filled up pretty quickly.
Yep.
And kind of go through there without all the drama. But picture yourself having that conversation is so much better than if you hadn't have answered all those questions. If they didn't you're just coming, hey, I just want to learn about photography. How much do you cost?
It's when you can get this right online, like what Nick was saying, is basically our goal is to be able to communicate clearly enough that we understand them. We understand what those deep-seated desires are, what's at the heart of what they really want out of their wedding photographs. If we can answer all of that as clearly as possible online, through our website, through our social posts, again, not to get too freaky or scary for everybody, but through email series, all those kinds of things, if we can get them 75% of the way there, because we've already answered their basic questions and made them feel like, I'm pretty sure this is the one. They really understand me. They get me. I like their style. I like what's going on here. Then the question, all it becomes is they're going to get on the phone with you and say, okay, are you available on my date? What kind of packages do you have to offer? That's the goal. That's what we're trying to do. It sounds overly simple, but that's the thing. We have seen this many, many times with our students. If you get this right, that's their experience. That's what it comes down to.
Okay, so just because I know that many of the listeners right now are thinking, this sounds great, this sounds wonderful, I see how the pieces work together. Can we go just a little bit more technical here? And when we're thinking about these social posts, are there like 4 or 5 questions specifically that we should be answering to our brides? What are the questions that we could be posting on Instagram that would help our brides feel more comfortable with working with us?
Not your equipment, please.
Yes.
You're right. Yeah.
So true. Yeah, this is
sorry. I couldn't help it. We joke about this all the time.
Yeah.
100% right there.
The equipment's great, but don't lead with it.
No, exactly, because we have to think about, so the first thing I would say is we constantly have to be reframing our thoughts about them. What is it that they want? Not what we want to capture, what we want them to do, what we like to do. We have to turn it around. And I find that, from a tough love perspective, this is harder than usual for photographers. Photographers and videographers really struggle with this, because I would say probably more than anybody else in the wedding industry, what you create is art. You guys are artists. You are people who
stands alone.
You take great pride in, because your work ultimately ends up becoming an expression of your creativity, of your imagination, your thought process, your talent. And so I think that colors a lot in your photography business, for everything from the sales, feeling uncomfortable about wanting to sell things, and feeling uncomfortable about marketing, because it feels like you are cheapening your art, right? You are cheapening your talent. And is cheapening even a word? I don't even know, but
it is now.
It is now.
Yeah, it's official now.
But it's just basically it feels uncomfortable to do that. And especially when you feel so passionate about the work that you do, it can feel very difficult to want to turn that over, turn our brain over to saying, what is it that my couples want? Because it's like, no, this is what I do. This is what I'm good at. And people take it or leave it. We do hear that a lot from people in the wedding industry, but like I said, more often than not from photographers and videographers. But here's the thing. If we want more couples to enjoy our art, to have the benefit of having our talent for their wedding day, to capture their one wedding day, then we have to think like this. We have to make it from their perspective so that we can book more clients, so that we can help more people. Because if we stay focused on us and what we like to do and what we're good at, we're only going to be speaking to ourselves. Sure. Everyone wants to know what's in it for them.
Yeah.
But more than anything, especially when you are trying to do this as a business, we have to think it from their perspective.
Let me ask you, Kate, because that is exactly right where they're at. So a few ways to get that across in their Instagram, because this is your thing or whatever. If people, like some of our students, they don't know what to do. We got a whole list of if you don't know what to blog about, try this, this, and this. Yep. If you don't know what to do this, try some of these things. So, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because it's your thing. I don't know where you lead with it, but maybe they want to know about other people that work with you, right? And the stories of the day, or like the stories you're talking about.
But that can be hard.
Tell me.
That can be hard if you're just starting out.
Where do they start off with answering those questions? Do you have any good examples off the top of your head, or I'm not trying to put you on the spot?
No, so basically,
thanks, Nick. You're doing my job. I appreciate it. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, that's right. So with this, and that can be a challenge, because you are right about that, is that people, they do want to see the stories of people you've worked with, but it is hard when you are just starting out. You might not have a whole lot of clients. Well, this is where you might need to participate in some styled shoots.
Oh, yeah.
You might need to maybe work with a couple of friends. And
everybody wants your help in a styled shoot.
Oh,
from
for
the wedding
goodness
industry.
sakes. Yeah, seriously.
Planners, the venues,
if you don't have, honey, actually, that's a huge tip. If you need photographs, if you're just starting out and you have not done enough weddings, I'm telling you, go contact a wedding planner in your area and go contact a venue and say, hey, I'm willing to I would love to do an exchange and a styled shoot. I will photograph you. Set aside one of your weekend days or an evening, whatever works out. And work together. I'll tell you, wedding planners and venues will be falling all over themselves to get photographs from you. And then you have the benefit of, now you have things that you can share in yours.
Photographer, possibly.
Exactly.
Because I'm going to tell you a secret. You're scared to talk to the venue, because I was too with our other business. But now that we're coaching venues, they're scared to talk to you. They're like, oh, why would this guy, why would she want to do all that work for nothing? I mean,
because they need photos too.
Because they would love for you to be sending your brides in this way, or couples. They would love to be, because people are just busy. They also would love someone to take the initiative and be like, yes, please do it.
Yeah.
Of course. I can say from personal experience, I found that exact thing has worked for me for my business. Now, for me, it was a little different. It wasn't a styled shoot as much as it was. There was a couple here locally who their wedding photographer just skipped town after their wedding. So 5 years after their wedding, I was like, this is horrible. So I kind of wrangled everybody together, reached out to a planner to help kind of redo a shoot for them. But you're right. I mean, the planner loved the idea, loved the photos. The venue loved the idea, wanted the photos. I even got hair and makeup involved. And from that, just that one thing, I think I booked probably 12 or 13 weddings, just from those people directly
Yes.
involved. I don't know how many people saw it online, as you were saying, Nick, the blog post and whatnot. So you're right. That's a great avenue to go down. Now, my next question for you here, and we talked about it very briefly. Do you have time? This is my last question for you guys. Is that okay?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
We're all good to go.
Yeah.
Yes, we are good.
So you had mentioned earlier, one of the things that photographers can do to sabotage themselves is to just keep talking and talking about things that don't even matter, gear specifically. And I had learned early on that that was one way that I was sabotaging. I thought that I was providing more value. I thought that I was answering their questions and helping them out as much as possible. And it turns out that I would just overload them with information. They didn't care, and I was sabotaging myself. So what are some of the other ways that we as wedding professionals are sabotaging ourselves from the sale?
Yeah. So with our
this.
students, we literally ask people, they record their calls or their Zooms, because people are doing Zooms a lot now. And we just kind of, with a very friendly heart, used to be a special ed teacher, we help each other just change it a little bit. And so many people, they want to over talk, they just want to pour into them. Sure. Like what's going on, because they feel like if they really get it, then they're just going to say yes. But it's kind of counterintuitive, but it's about them. So if you are speaking more than they are, you probably need to flip that by asking questions. What is it they want? We also find you sabotage by the confusion will kill the sale. Okay, saying I've got 5 packages, I've got this, we can bring in this lighting and stuff like that. They may not need to know that. They came into you already pre-warned. They looked at your website, otherwise they wouldn't have got on. They kind of liked what they saw. Your job is to ask them, hey, thank you for coming. What did you like on my website? And they might tell you, well, I really like the photo of that couple. Oh, what'd you like about it? And you kind of ask them some questions as if you're getting to know them, because you are trying to make a relationship. And you don't need to talk about all that.
Oh yeah, I love to do that. That's one of my favorite things to do. Is I love to photograph couples like that, because now what are you saying? I, me, right?
And they'll say, yep, that's right. And they'll be like, okay, but really, you just need to ask them, and they might love the engagement photos that are over there. Like, would you like to do those over there? Yeah, I really do. Well, I make that easy. All we do is we have the package. It's
this amount.
Yep. I can do it this weekend, or would you like to do it next? And say that clearly, because they're kind of telling you. Or they'll say, well, I don't really want to do that. Well, what would you like to do? I do this and this. And you kind of just give them what they want, ask them what they need, and then say a price very confidently. It sounds like what would work for you best is this one. We can do it as soon as next week, or I can look at my schedule. I got a whole bunch more. I don't want to. There's a whole bunch of that, but just talk less, ask more, come back with what they're saying, and say confidently, yeah, I can do that for you.
Oh yeah.
And then just close them. People don't want to close either. They'll say, okay, well, why don't I write you up a proposal and I'll send it to you? And they're like, yeah, sure, sounds good.
No.
They're already there. Just ask them to sign in. Most of them will do it, and by default, they'll say, well, I'm gonna talk forever.
Yeah. He's really good at handling objections.
Ask any questions you
have.
Yeah. The objections are a hard one. I get that, and I think that that's what people are scared of most, is that, especially when you get into photography, as you guys were saying, it's this art form. Like, this is what it is that we are creating. So when we get over that hurdle, when we get that confidence to go in front of somebody to say, hey, would you like to work with me? Once they come up with an objection, it feels like an objection about ourselves. And so I completely get it. And I know that there is a big, need for being able to handle those objections and kind of reframing it of it's not about you. It's about, whatever struggles they're feeling with. Right.
They got to you. They came to your appointment.
Good point.
They didn't have to. They didn't have to call you. They didn't have, people are busy. If they're getting to you, you're pretty much, like I said, don't mess it up.
Close,
you're good. So it's not about you. They're confused about something. Usually it's something that you don't know about. They're like, well, I really wanted you for my, later reception thing, or to go over here. And they don't know that you do that. Like, oh, that's no problem. I can do that. Or, I needed a second shooter. Well, no problem. I've got someone that comes with me. That's just this. And, they don't want to ask you the question. I don't want to coach everything.
This is good.
This is naturally who you are. This is where you
the
go.
whole thing on objections right now.
Yeah,
I'm literally, because everybody wants to know that. I'm trying to do a whole thing on it. We're gathering them all and just giving everybody the basic words to say. You still got to make it your own for your own vibe, but like, because it's that simple, you know.
Yeah,
it kills me.
it's simpler than we think it is. Let's put it that way. It's simpler than we think it is. We often, whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, we often overcomplicate things. We can absolutely make these simpler, but we have to start with some very foundational basics.
Totally doable.
And that's what we've been talking about today. It's like you have to start with the basics, the foundation, and then build on from there, because that's going to help us to make sure that it's learning to, crawl before you can walk before you can run, right? We have to get those basics and that foundation set and keep it simple to start. And that's going to allow you to grow to wherever you need it to be.
Kate, Nick, I don't know how to end it any better than that. You guys wrapped this up perfectly. This is fantastic. Before I let you two go, can you feel free to let everybody know where they can find out more about you two and what it is that you do online?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everything that you might want to learn about marketing and sales for your wedding business is at bookmorebrides.com. You can always reach out to us anytime. hello@bookmorebrides.com. Come find us on Instagram. Same thing, bookmorebrides. We try to make it simple, easy. But definitely, we would love to be able to connect with anybody here, help you find the right path for where you need to go in your wedding business.
What's next?
What's next for you? Do you want to stay? Do you want this to stay as a side hobby? Great, we can help you with some ways to do that. But if you're looking to make this a full-time gig, we certainly have different programs, different service offerings that would make that easier for you.
Yeah, if I can include, from the conversation, we had all these great points. If you're saying, what do I do next? You can reach out to us and we can help you. If you're saying, I don't know how to write that, I just don't, I know what it is, but I just can't get it out. She knows how to pull it out of you. And all those good things. A
lot of different options. Yeah, absolutely.
There was so much information in this one. My head is still kind of spinning. Listening back to it, there was still a million more questions that I wish that I had the time to ask Kate and Nick, but they were still so gracious with their time. Really enjoyed my chat, and I got so much out of this one. I think my biggest takeaway from this interview was really that, like, no matter what it is that you shoot, no matter how you shoot, people kind of don't care. What they care about is how will things benefit them. I mean, I get it. People are kind of selfish, and even though we don't want to think of ourselves as selfish, it's not. I think really what it boils down to is just a survival mode, right? How is this thing going to help us survive or thrive? How is it going to benefit us? So talking about the gear to your potential clients and not about the couple. Talking about how much you've loved photography as a kid and not talking about the couple, but instead talking about how weddings are, filled with close family and friends, and that ensures that you're able to capture real candid moments. Well, that's about the couple. And if that's the wedding that they want to have, then why would they go anywhere else? When you focus on the couple, then they see the benefit to them. And then guess what? They're more likely to work with you. So I would love to hear your biggest takeaway in the Beginner Photography Podcast Facebook community. You can just search Facebook for Beginner Photography Podcast and you will find it there. So that is it for this week. Thank you so much. Remember to stick around for after the outro if you want to hear that bonus from Kate, all about simple email marketing to nurture potential clients until they're ready to book. So until next week, keep shooting, stay safe. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Beginner Photography Podcast. If you enjoy the show, consider leaving a review in iTunes. Keep shooting, and we'll see you next week.
It's one of those things I feel like I'm still struggling with, is making sure that there is, you can be everywhere, and it's like, where do I want to be, and where's my attention going to be?
What's
the best
goal?
Utilized? Yeah.
So, and sometimes even with your business, I mean, that's something we all have to go through a refresh of sometimes too, because it's like, I mean, we all change and our business changes. So it makes sense that your goals are going to change, and the way that you get there is going to have to change. So it's good to re-examine those every now and then anyways, and be like, okay, where is it that I want to go, where I want to be? Is what I'm doing now helping me get there? Like another concept we talk about a lot is the fact that your business is always 90 days out. Like the things you do today aren't going to be felt or seen in your business for 90 days. So like we were talking about, I just did training on this, and I can't remember. I'm like, did I put this on the podcast yet or not? But talking about how, well, okay, so what's 90 days from now? December. What is December? The biggest engagement month of the year.
Of course, yeah.
So we have to think about, okay, what are we doing for our business to get it set up so that way we are in a good spot when these couples get engaged and get all excited and start looking online for who they're going to book for their photographer. But then it's also, then we have to think about their mindset. Okay, are these couples who are going to reach out to us, get our packages and pricing, and immediately book? No, they're not. They're in research mode. So that's the thing. I think especially beginner photographers get so frustrated because they're like, these people, they were all excited and we had this great call and everything, and now they're ghosting me. I don't hear from them. I keep reaching out to them and I don't hear anything. So they'll reach out like 4, maybe 5 times, and they're like, well, they're just not interested in me, so I'm just gonna let them go. But they're still in research mode. They're still interested in you. They're just not ready to make the sale yet. So we have to stay in front of them.
Oh, so you're saying perhaps instead of rather trying to get the sale, they're continuing with
if they don't book right away. Yeah. So that's one of the things. And that's another big tenet that we teach is the concept of the buy now versus the buy later couples. Your buy now couples are the ones, who have done the research, or they are, it's like basically they're at a decision point. Like they have to make a decision right now. And they're like, yep, as soon as they have a call with you, they're like, it's time. I'm send me the contract and we'll sign it. Let's get going. But the research shows that's only 3% of your local market.
Oh, wow.
So think about this. If you're a beginning photographer and you have all these people and you have people that reach out to you and everything, and you're like, they're not booking. Why aren't they booking? Well, probably because they're not that 3%. They are the 4 to 12 or 15%, which, because you're never going to have your whole market, right? Like your local area. Not everybody's getting married right now. But for photographers, there's other ways you can do this, obviously, right? Beyond wedding photographs. But how are you then serving this 4 to 12 or 15% of your market? Well, if you don't have some sort of a follow-up series and staying in front of them, they're gone. And when they are ready to make a decision, when they're ready to go from that buy later area, where they want what you have to offer, but they're not ready to make a decision yet. When they cross over to being ready to make a decision, are you there for them? Are you in front of them? Because if you don't stay in front of them, they're going to they're going to forget about you and they're going to go back on Google and find somebody else, or they're going to go with the person who has stayed in front of them, and you're going to lose a sale.
Is the best way to do that through social media, or is it through some sort of email follow-up like you were talking about earlier?
Email. Yep.
So then what sorts of stuff do we talk? Okay, so then let me ask. On your website, should you have a contact form like, hey, contact me today so that we can talk about your wedding? Or do you have some sort of lead magnet opt-in to just get them into that sequence?
Both. Yep. So, because here's the thing. We don't know what stage they're at. We don't know if they're buy now or buy later couples. We don't know. So it's like, so we have to give them the option with the book a consultation. And that's the other thing now is having those call to action buttons. We can't just have it be like, let's connect, or, or call, let's talk or something like that. It's
ambiguous.
Like, talk about what, like about what I can do for you, or about, because think about it again from their perspective. They're like, well, what's going to happen if I go here? Am I bringing in, actively engaging someone who's going to be like this hard seller, pushy on me, or what's going to happen, right? So we need to have something where it says like, book a consultation. So that way the ones who are like, yeah, I got to make a decision. I waited too long. I need to talk with somebody now and make sure they're the right one for me. So we need to have those call to action buttons, but that are clear for them to be able to engage with us right away. But it's also good to have some sort of a lead magnet, so that way we can continue a conversation with them. So if they're interested, but they're like, I'm not ready to really talk to somebody yet, I'm still kind of figuring things out, but it'll be there's some sort of a download piece that says like, 5 ways to know, you've picked the right wedding photographer, or something, whatever it is that, and again, this is where you have to know your couples, like what is it that they want? Like, so if we're looking at those artistic, that photographer couple that we talked about, I would recommend for them something like 5, killer outfit ideas for your unexpected, well, actually what we did suggest for them when we worked with them was we said, for their local area, 5 unexpected Chicagoland engagement photo shoot locations.
Oh, locations. Yeah. And that works.
Yes. Oh, like a charm. So it's been because they had hired us for like a short, engagement, like a coaching session for a little while. And that was last, like October to December, I think it was. And at that time, and I'm still in contact with them, like we've become friends with them. And it's like, it's so hard, like, when you find somebody that you really connect with. Right. But so I've been following them, and they were ones who they wanted to get their business right because they were just starting out. They had 3 weddings under their belt. That was it when they came to us, 3 that they had done. He's a firefighter, and she worked for, I think, the court system. Like she was like a not a stenographer or whatever, but she worked in like their offices for the local court system. Both full-time working parents, and their goal was for her to get out first and to work on the business, and then he was going to get out. I think it was by the spring she had put in her resignation.
No way.
Because they had replaced their wedding, they replaced her income, and now they're working towards replacing his. And he's just, I think, staying in it because, and obviously things like benefits and all those things. It's hard when you leave a full-time job or like something like that. But he also has a heart for what he does as a firefighter. But they have, so now following them and watching, it's like their business has just grown because they got so clear right away and had these download pieces that spoke so clearly to their couples that it's like, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, essentially. It's like it became so easy for them because they had the work, they had the talent. It's no problem. They're great at what they do. They just needed to learn how to do the marketing and the business side. So they got that locked in, and now they're golden.
That sounds wonderful. And I think, again, that's kind of like the dream to kind of have it. It sounds a little bit on autopilot, but let me ask you one more question. And I know that
I'm good. I don't have anything right now. So as long as if you have to go, that's fine too. But
no. So actually my kids are finally in school, like at the same time. So
right. Yes.
Only for the past few weeks have I been able to get uninterrupted work done. But when it comes to an email sequence, and this is something that I've been struggling with personally, and that is like, I guess, the length of the email sequence and what sorts of things are we talking about? Is that a universal thing, or does that need to be more specific as well?
In terms of the length is universal?
No, I guess the topics in which we're talking about. What sorts of things are we emailing them about?
No, topics aren't necessarily universal because we, every photographer, style, market, those are all different. So this is why it is helpful to have someone that can kind of guide you, because once you know, then you can help to, especially if content's not your thing. Like if it's not something that comes naturally to you, it can be like, oh gosh, what do I even write about? It can get very frustrating. But if you have these things, it's easy to build it out. But I would say in terms of the length, this is, again, something that freaks a lot of people out. But I'm telling you, you do it, you put in the work, you're going to see the results. 26 to 52 emails.
26 to 52 email. Are we talking weekly emails?
Weekly emails.
Okay. So, then I'm assuming that once they reach out, contact you and book, you remove them from that sequence.
You move them. Yep. Wow. And so, and the reason why is because of what we talked about earlier, the ghosting concept, especially, there are a couple of wedding professionals where it's like venues have a very short lead time. Like their email sequence is likely not going to be anywhere near that. Like usually we do about 14 emails for venues. Like that's what we recommend, is about 14 emails. And then also having text messaging added in, is certainly another, especially for venues with reminders and things like that. We actually created a CRM for to do this because we had several venues and other, professionals that wanted to incorporate texting and to have like those reminders and everything. It was very helpful for them, and they've been seeing good results. But with certain professionals like photographers, DJs, wedding planners are shorter, makeup artists, those kinds of things. It's like, these are all people that for, whatever reason, every couple thinks they have more time to decide on this than they really do. They're not making a decision quickly. They're waiting until like 6 months, 4 months before their wedding, especially DJs. Like they get a lot of like, my wedding's in like 2 months. Can you help me out? And they're like,
I guess,
what? But think about that. So as an example, a DJ that is in our Growth Academy program, he, which is like a combination like coaching program. he he was on email. He was telling us recently he was on email 21 or 22. And before a couple finally reached out and it was like, oh yeah, I was planning on reaching out to you this week anyways. And it's like, first of all, yeah, sure you were. It was always, the email that reminded you, like, because on a regular basis, right? But they're like, yeah, because my fiance has been saying, we got to lock in the DJ. So you know what? Just send me over your packages and a contract and I'll get it over to you. And it was like, and he booked them. It was because he had put in the work over time to build that relationship with them. And again, it's following, we always recommend what we call the give, ask method. Mm-hmm. So basically you are giving twice as much information without asking for a sale. So that helps to build a relationship. It helps to lower their guard, makes them feel less like you're just trying to make a sale. Like you actually care about making their wedding day better, because you do, but it's just like, how do you demonstrate that? Well, this is how. But then you do still have to ask for the sale, because we find a lot of people are either way too much on the give and they never ask for a sale, so they never make the sale.
Yeah.
Or and it's like, because that's the thing, especially, you have a heart for giving and you're passionate about what you do. It is an art form, those things. So it's like, you're like, yeah, if they really want me, they'll reach out to me. No, we have to be clear. We have to ask them. And you don't have to do it in a hard or a pushy way, but just you've given them lots of information. So now it's that reciprocity factor. That's the sales technique, right? It's they feel like, wow, this person's given me so much, that by the time then you send out an email to them and you say, you open it up still with a story, something that's going to make it compelling enough for them to want to open it. But you say, this is the type of thing that I do all the time for my clients. And, it makes me so happy when I see them thrilled, like when their face is lighting up when we go through their wedding photographs after their honeymoon. They get back from their honeymoon and we're going through and I see their faces light up and I'm just that just makes me so happy. If this is what you're looking for as well, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation so we can make this a reality for you. Mm-hmm. That's all that it takes. You don't have to be like, hey, you don't have to be all like sleazy and salesy. It's like, it's just a natural extension of, hey, does this sound good to you? This is the experience that I offered. Is that what you're looking for? Cool. Let's talk and I'm going to make it real for you. Let's do this.
That's a totally different mindset right there. That makes it a whole lot easier. Yeah.
Yeah.